Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Quest of Destiny. If you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video. And if you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being locked in with me. I appreciate you and I'm sending love your way. So yeah, in today's video, I'm just going to be talking about JayZ's response to these egregious, disgusting allegations. And everyone else's response to the claims too. It's been pretty much split, and down the line there's people that think that he's innocent and people that believe that he's a guilty participant. And discuss some other things as far as like cognitive dissonance and parasocial relationships, and how I feel like all of those concepts and themes align with what's happening right now and what we're witnessing in this JayZ alleged suit. Now I have to start off with saying that this is all opinion based. This is only my perception and the conclusions I have come to with my own patterns of recognition and just following JayZ throughout the years. Please don't take these words as factual. We're gonna get into it. So it's been about a week now since the world has found out that JayZ has been accused of raping a 13-year-old minor back in early 2000s at an after party. I think it was a VMA's after party. This happened, I believe, 24 years ago, and the victim has just come out now with their story and their claims. And you're going to have your people that wants to defend and protect the celebrity at all costs because they see a piece of them in the celebrity. And then you have other people who are willing to keep an open mind and see celebrities just as any other flawed human that is capable of committing crimes just like the next man, but they are even more capable because they have the power to get away with it. When I heard these claims, I was not shocked and surprised, along with some other folks who've been waiting for JayZ's name to be brought up too, because it's kind of hard to be friends with a person for decades accused of crimes like sexual assault and domestic violence, and your hands just be squeaky clean and you know nothing about it. If you're around people that do that and you see it and you say nothing, I feel like you're just as guilty, if not more guilty, in my opinion. Let's get into JayZ's response. Didn't really like JayZ's response, to be real with everyone. When I read it the first time, I'm like, oh wow, this actually came from JayZ. It didn't seem like a lawyer typed it up for JayZ or anything, which is pretty shocking because I'm not used to JayZ or Beyonce ever coming out to say anything. Usually they keep quiet and work it out in a court of law. But with these claims, I think it is important that he came out and say something. I'm just not sure this was the right route to take with the words that he chose to use and how he chose to frame everything. But let's get into JayZ's response. JayZ wrote, "My lawyer received a blackmail attempt called a demand letter from a lawyer," and he has lawyer in quotation marks, and for some reason that bothers me because he's an actual lawyer. It seems like JayZ is trying to already discredit his lawyer. I thought that was odd, especially when these claims are so egregious and disgusting. To start off with talking about the lawyer, I feel like that probably wasn't the best route to take, but here we go. It had the opposite effect. It made me want to expose you for the fraud you are in a very public fashion. So no, I will not give you one red penny. And he has one red penny in all caps. It seems like JayZ is very upset with this lawyer, and he's not willing to settle it by just paying off the victim. He wants to fight in court. And that's his right if he wants to do that. Let's keep going. This was like really the main red flag to me in JayZ's statement. JayZ goes on and says, "My only heartbreak is for my family. My wife and I will have to sit our children down, one of whom is at the age her friends will surely see the press and ask questions about the nature of these claims. It isn't fair to have to try to understand inexplicable degrees of malice meant to destroy families and human spirit." Now, this right here, this paragraph really pissed me off because it's just like, he just wanted to make it about himself and make it seem like, well, what about my little, daughter? What about the victims who are daughters as well? I just feel like he tried to just shift everything away from this victim and made it about like making his daughter a victim, making himself a victim of this con artist lawyer that he puts in quotation that's trying to shake him down. I just feel like JayZ's response to these claims, it just seems a bit arrogant and it seems a bit Like, he's not empathetic at all to victims. So I would like to talk a little bit about JayZ's historic perception. JayZ has presented himself to be this activist and role model while also being a Black capitalist as well. Because JayZ has this rags to riches story, him starting off in the MRC projects and becoming this billionaire, married to this superstar Beyonce, I feel like a lot of people overlook his character because of the things that he has accomplished in his life. JayZ's Black capitalist approach is all about exclusivity and all about it being opulent and extravagant and not really attainable to the average person. You can hear it in his music.
Traded in a gold for the platinum Rolex. Now a nigga wrist match the status of my record.
It's very braggadocious. It's very me and I, individualistic, all for self. How can I gain this money? How can I climb up this ladder and shake hands with these people type of mentality? To me, JayZ's character is very questionable and has been for me for a very long time. I looked at JayZ from the course of his career because he's been in hip-hop and in the media for decades, for a very long time. And throughout the course of his timeline in hip-hop, Diddy is really by his side throughout it all. So I just don't believe that you can be so close-knit with the person who will commit these heinous crimes. Like you said, a person who will commit heinous crimes, you are buddy-buddy with. And not only that, like, you've been buddy-buddy with other people who's committed crimes similar. R. Kelly, for instance, JayZ has done 2 albums with R. Kelly, and he went on a tour with R. Kelly. So it's just like he has a history of working with predators, essentially. And does that make him a predator? No, but it's not just who he hangs around. It's the amount of wealth that he's been able to hoard. JayZ is a billionaire, a multi-billionaire. And no one man becomes a billionaire being a nice guy. No man becomes a billionaire by being great to other people. They become billionaires by being shiesty, by being willing to do things that most people want to do to get ahead. At least for 10 years, there's been rumors about his son Ramir, or his alleged son Ramir, trying to get a DNA test to prove that JayZ is his father. And
first time I heard that JayZ probably was my father when I was 8 years old. And, you know, my mom, we was actually sitting in the house on a regular day, you know, listening to music. My mom came up to me and was like, "Hey, Rob, you know, I got something to tell you. That's your dad for real." And I'm like, I was shocked. Like, "Mom, what are you talking about? You know, I'm young." Like, it's nothing your parents would just make up like that. You don't just say this type of person is your father, JayZ. Like,
he's been trying to fight in court to get this DNA test, and JayZ just refuses to go take this test. And to me, that speaks to a character of a man who doesn't want to see if this child is possibly his. Because, like, it would be one thing if this young man didn't look anything like JayZ, but he has a heavy resemblance to JayZ. And for JayZ to not want to keep it going in court to try to, you know, tire out Ramir so he don't follow through with getting the test done, I think it's a sign of his arrogance, of his ego, and other character flaws that I think JayZ has. Not saying that because you have those character flaws mean that you can harm a 13-year-old child. I just think that there's patterns of JayZ that shows that he's probably not incapable of doing something that these alleged claims are saying. I am prone to believe what this woman is saying because, for one, I believe all women. It's been like really hard for me to ever get into JayZ's music because even like the way that he talks about women, it's just always been like kind of like sleazeball. Like I never rocked with JayZ's music. He was talking about like trying to give people a blueprint to how he came up from selling drugs to being shaking hands with the president and stuff like that. Like, I get that, but I just feel like the energy that he puts into his music is from a place of looking down instead of like really extending a hand. That's what he wants it to look like, but it doesn't feel like he's extending a hand. It's like, I did this, you can do it too. Now pull yourself up by the bootstrap kind of mentality. And it kind of ties into this whole Black excellence that JayZ likes to parade around. By no means did he invent the word or term Black excellence. Black excellence was a term that's been around since the Civil Rights Movement. And when I think of Black excellence, it's hard for me to not think of respectability politics. From what Black excellence seems like to me is you marry someone Black, you have Black children, you accumulate wealth together, and that's, you're excellent if you've done that. Or, accumulated some degrees on top of that. Education is another factor of Black excellence. I do want to make it clear, JayZ is not the author or the originator of Black excellence, but I do believe that JayZ popularized the term Black excellence, and also social media too, because in the early 2000s, social media was just way more prevalent and we had more access to seeing how celebrities live. And through that, I feel like the music definitely, at least in hip hop, became a lot more braggadocious and came more about the cars that you're driving, the jewelry that you have on, what it looks like, and just pretty much the perception, like how do people perceive you? Do they perceive you to be wealthy? Do they perceive you to be just a regular person? To me, Black excellence is all about proving yourself to the establishment that you're worthy of being in the room with them, at sitting at the table with them. And it's just like, fuck the table. Like, we are the culture. Everything trickles down from what we like and what we do and how we are. Black people are just excellent for just existing. Our ancestors are excellent. Therefore, we are excellent, and we don't have to do a goddamn thing else in this world or life to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to prove my excellence to anyone by going to get a degree or accumulating this amount of wealth or driving this car. Just me breathing and being right now in this body and being myself is excellence. I think that it's really healthy if we start unpacking what does Black excellence mean to us, and do we even need to be excellent to begin with? Black folks don't need to be excellent. We don't have to be. We can just be. We can just exist, and that's enough. I hope that our community starts unpacking more what Black excellence means to us, because it can mean so many things. It's a spectrum, but I feel like the Black excellence that JayZ and Beyonce push is more of like an overconsumption. It's opulence. It's exclusionary. His 40/40 club, his liquor that he puts out, it's like high price. Not everyone can. It's not attainable, and I think that he likes not being attainable. Hypothetically, these people will rather choose to have a conversation with JayZ than money that could actually change their lives, because JayZ has made himself that unattainable, but attainable enough for people to feel like he's their uncle or friend or mentor. I do think that we as a society definitely need to start unpacking our relationship to celebrities and celebrity culture and our parasocial relationships that we have with them. I feel like social media has definitely opened up the floodgates to having these parasocial relationships with these celebrities. We feel like we know them because we see more of them. And I feel like these celebrities and different artists play into that, and what we see, they're able to manipulate what we see and only show us a certain side of them. And we don't see everything that happens behind closed doors and at these parties, and we don't know the full history of a person. So let's have empathy for all victims. I think a lot of JayZ defenders right now are soothing the internal conflict that they have with cognitive dissonance. It's just honestly what I think is happening right now. I feel like a lot of JayZ defenders have been with him for decades, listening to his music. They've seen his story, they've seen his come up, and they really resonate with all his accomplishments, where if they cannot even compute that he will even be capable of doing something as heinous as assaulting a 13-year-old. And so I get why the defenders are having a hard time with that and are exhibiting some signs of cognitive dissonance to me at least. This idea that JayZ is so aspirational and a role model and this activist, it conflicts with him being even possible of committing an act of raping a 13-year-old child. It just is too conflicting to even be true for a lot of people. And I get that. That's how the brain works when you can't compute two things being true at once. You can be this great person in the media and still be capable of committing some heinous crimes. And we've seen it with Diddy, and we've seen it with R. Kelly. Like, they're both men, powerful men who's been able to create some cool art and work with some other artists and bring some cool things to life. But at the end of the day, like, they have dark past and they've done dark things and hurt a lot of people along their journey. And I don't think that they should get a pass for that because of the good things they've done for hip hop or anything. I feel like all people should be held accountable for their actions, especially when their actions harm others. I think that a lot of JayZ defenders see themselves in JayZ. So the only way that they can reconcile JayZ being this great stand-up person and to save that image in their mind is to just not believe the victim at all. Where's the parents and this and that? And it's just like, I don't think that's a healthy way of going about these allegations. It just makes me feel sorry for victims of abuse, victims of rape, when I see people in society run to defend people who's been accused of disgusting crimes, especially against children. And I hope that society can be a little bit more empathetic to victims as well and change our approach to how we discuss these celebrities who are being accused of these things. Because on one hand, we know that Hollywood and the music industry has a dark past, a dark history. The start of it has been really dark and it hasn't changed since the start of it. So knowing the history of it, and when we hear certain people a part of these organizations and communities be accused of these dark crimes, I don't see why we have a hard time believing it. Hearing that the woman has come out to do an interview on NBC and she has some inconsistencies in her stories, and people are just jumping on that saying, okay, there's inconsistencies in her stories, she must be lying. And I just want people to remember that memory is a fucking trip. 3 people could go to a party 3 days ago, and all 3 of them are going to have different recollections of memory of what happened at that party. That's just how memory works. So this assault, this crime took place over 20 years ago. She was underage, she was a child. And when you bring trauma into it, like, memory is a whole nother ballgame, because how the brain will erase certain memories to keep itself protected so the human body can keep moving forward in the physical. This victim experienced a traumatic act that happened 20 plus years ago when she was underage. And so, like, I don't think that her having inconsistencies in her story means that she's lying about everything. I just don't believe that. I don't. I think that her having inconsistencies is a human thing. We all have inconsistencies when we have to recall certain things that's happened in our life, especially traumatic events. So I just hope that I want people to be more gentle with how we're talking about it. And we should, as a society, be way more empathetic to this woman who had the courage to come out and speak her truth. And if we find out that it's not truth, then so be it. I feel like y'all will find a way to drag her name through the mud and do what y'all gotta do. If this case and claims they fall through and they find it out to not be true, I do think that there's possible other skeletons that can come out of JayZ's closet. This might be the one that ignites it. It's the same thing. It's like we're having a repeat of what happened to Diddy. It was the Cassie claims that sparked it, and then like a whole slew of other people came forward. So, and people thought that Cassie was lying too. It took video footage of Cassie being dragged through a hotel for people to believe Cassie's claims. So maybe video footage needs to come out of JayZ actually assaulting this 13-year-old for people to believe it. That seems like what this world has come down to. In order to believe a victim, you need to see it with your own two eyes. And I just never been that. I don't want to ever be that person that operates like that. I believe victims. I don't need to see it with my two eyes. I can use my own discernment. And with my discernment, I am prone to believe that this victim is not lying about what happened. There may be some inconsistencies in her story, but that doesn't mean that she's lying about everything. And that's where I stand on this whole JayZ alleged claims. If you choose to want to speak up and tell someone, please do, if that's what you want to do, because you deserve to have your truth be told, and you deserve to have people in your community hold you up and be there for you and believe you. And I just know that I fucking believe you. I'm just prone to believe anyone who's courageous enough to come out and speak about their story. What I'm not going to do is side with the person who's being accused of heinous crimes against a child, a 13-year-old. Like, that's just, I can't compute that. I just wanted to come on here and speak on this because it's been in the media a lot and it's made its way over to the YouTube streets. I felt passionate enough to make a video about it and talk about it. These are my thoughts and opinions. This is all alleged information. So don't come for me with no lawyers or nothing like that, because I ain't got it. So that's it.